All right, so we're going to talk about simple and compound interest today. Many people are unsure about what interest is. Now, it can be used in debt, like if you have credit cards and then they charge you interest. But today we're talking about earning interest. So I always say, when you go to the bank and you deposit your money into the bank, do they keep a little vault with your name on it? And then you go back and you're like, hey, I want Miss Phillips' money, and they go to your vault and they pull out your money. Well, the reality is, no, that's not the case. In fact, when you put your money in the bank, they actually loan your money to other people. So many banks pay you what they call interest in order to use your money. Now, obviously, if you don't have a lot of money in the bank, you don't earn a lot of interest, but it's still something every single month or every single year. You also can earn interest on investments like the stock market and things like that. And today we're going to talk about how to actually compute how much interest you would earn. So, simple interest is when you just get paid interest on the money you put in your account. So, if you deposit $500, no matter how much that amount changes, you continue to earn interest on that. Compound interest is that not only do you get paid interest on the money you put in, but then once you earn interest, you get paid on that as well. So, it's considered interest on interest, really. Compound interest obviously earns you more money than simple interest. So formula for simple interest is interest equals principal times rate times time. So I equals PRT, okay? Principal times rate times time. Now, compound interest is a little fancier. That's your A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the NT. Now, all of these are great formulas if you know what everything stands for. So P in both formulas is what they say is principal invested. That is your starting amount. Okay? Then the interest rate is R, remember, as a decimal. Okay? So, for example, 5% would be 0.05. N is the number of times per year interest is compounded, and then A is the amount you accumulate. So for N, we have to be careful. So N is number of times compounded. So if I say quarterly, that means that N is 4. Think about quarters. That's 4 times a year. Annually would be N equals 1, once a year, annually, okay? Then we have semi-annually. Think about a semi-circle, okay? That's 2, N is 2. What about monthly? You could have monthly. How many months are in a year? Think about that. N is going to be 12. You could have daily, and that would be N equals 365 because you've got 365 days in a year. So depending upon how we say it's compounded, that's going to determine what your N is going to be. Okay, so now let's use these formulas. So here's our first formula. It says, our first problem, it says, you put $6,000 in a savings account that earns 2.25% simple annual interest. How much money do you have after 5 years? Here's the key word, simple. Okay, if you see the word simple, that means we're going to use I equals PRT. Okay, automatically, the word simple means use this formula. So we're going to say I equals. So then principal, remember principal by definition is how much money you start with. So we're going to do 6,000. That's how much money you start with because that's how much money you put in your account. Times rate. Okay, well the rate is 2.25%. Remember you have to write that as a decimal. So 0.0225. Move your decimal 2 to the left. And then times T, which is time, and it says 5 years. So times 5. So you would type that in your calculator. So when you do that, you're going to get $675. Now this is where everybody makes a mistake, okay? It's not $675 in your account. Y'all, if that happened and you put $6,000 in the bank and now all you had was $675, you should be sad. It wants your total amount you have after 5 years. So you have to take the $6,000 you already had and add it to the $675 in interest. So you should have $6,675. Because remember, when you're doing simple interest, you're solving for the amount of interest first, and then you got to add it to what you started with. Now, in the second example, that is different, okay? So it says now we're going to take that same $6,000 and we're going to put it in a CD that earns 2.25% interest. The difference is the keyword compounded, y'all. If you see the word compounded, that means we need to use this formula. Okay, the word compounded means that formula. So then, the cool part about compound interest is that this A is your total amount in your account, so you don't have to go back and add it in like we did with simple interest. So we're going to plug everything in. So P is still how much you start with. So you still start with $6,000. You're going to have a 1 plus. R is still rate, and our rate is 2.25%, so we're going to put 0.0225. The only part that's new is N. Okay, and N is your number of times per year. It always comes after the word compounded. So for N, we see the word annually. And remember we talked about for annually, that means once a year. So N is 1. So I'm going to put a 1. And then it's raised to the N, so 1 times T, which is time, which was still 5 years. Okay, so now we're going to have to actually type this in our calculator. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to enter that in your calculator. So when you go to your calculator, you're going to do 6,000 times 1 plus, you're going to use your fraction key, okay, and then you're going to do 0.0225 over 1, close your parenthesis, raise it to the 1 times 5. And press enter. The cool part is this is how much money you're going to have in your account. So you're going to end up with $6,706.07. Now, the nice part again is you don't have to go and add it back, okay? That's just how much money is in your account when you compound annually. So let's look at another few, okay? So number 1 right here, it says find the balance of a $4,500 deposit after 7 years that earns 3.25% interest compounded quarterly. The most important word in this entire problem is compounded, okay? Again, if you see the word compounded, you need to write this formula on your paper. Now, you're going to be given this formula on a test, so you don't have to have it memorized, okay? But you got to know to use it. So P is what we start with. So we start with $4,500 times 1 plus. My rate is 3.25%. So remember we write that as 0.0325 over. Now N is tricky here. You got to go back and look. And N, it says, is compounded quarterly. So that would be 4. Think about 4 quarters in a dollar. Okay? Quarterly to the NT. So we're going to use N again. So 4, and then it says for 7 years. So 4 times 7. So we're going to pick up our calculator. And we're actually going to type it in, okay? And when we type that into our calculator, so we're going to do 4,500 times 1 plus 0.0325 over 4 raised to the 4 times 7. Oops, I need some parentheses. You're going to get $5,644.37. $5,644.37. Okay? So that would be your total answer. Now keep in mind these notes are in your packet on pages 9 and 10. So this is a good opportunity for you to follow along and fill them in so that you already have them done. Okay? So next problem. Okay? Find the balance of a $15,500 deposit after 3 years that earns 4.125% interest compounded monthly. Again, crazy word compounded. Remember, if you see the word compounded, you got to write the formula down. Okay, so you start with $15,500. 1 plus your rate is 4.125%, so 0.04125. Remember, move it 2 to the left. Compounded monthly, here's the key. How many months are in a year? 12 to the 12 times, and time is 3 years. and you're going to type that in your calculator. And you're going to get $17,538.14. So that is how much money you have in your account. Okay? Now, for our very last question of the day, we're going to tackle simple interest. So find the balance of a $20,000 deposit after 10 years that earns 2.75% simple interest. Okay? Keyword is simple. Everybody forgets. If you get used to using compound interest and then all of a sudden you go simple, you forget. So for simple interest, it's I equals PRT. So we need to actually say I equals, okay, then principal is 20,000, is how much you're starting with, times your rate, remember move your decimal, and then your time is 10 years. Now when you type that in your calculator, remember this is just your interest. You're not losing money. So here you get $5,500. Okay, y'all, that's not the amount of money in your account. You should be sad if that's the money in your account because you started with $20,000. So to finish the problem, you've got to add it to your $20,000. So you started with $20,000 and you earned $5,500. So you have $25,500 total dollars in your account. So by the end of this, you need to be comfortable doing compound interest and simple interest, and you need to make sure that you have pages 9 and 10 filled in your packet.